Are you happy?
When we used to do those SABC One tours.
Yeah.
Because like mfana abantu bamnyama, they think that shit is real. So there was that show Chisa. No Bongani. I think igama lakhe show in was wow man.
Ubongani wa Madondo, Masondo something.
Masondo, yeah. I think igama lakhe show in was Bafana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we were doing one of these SABC One whole bag tours to Durban or wherever the fuck. Yeah, you know those what is it called again? It was called Roadshow, whatever.
Sure.
It'd be Nekama, like
Okay.
summer something, right? So we're in Durban, we coming back now, we're on the flight. Basically like 80% of the flights, 70% of the flights is SABC One personalities. And this dude was sitting in front. Now on the show, he's a drug addict with a best friend who named Upaxteen.
Sure.
Who's the guy from Yizo.
Sure.
One of the Oaks, yeah.
Sure.
So this lady jumps on the plane, like when we're boarding, and she checks him there in the front seat. And she was like, I don't know, I suppose she was speaking to the church or something. She's like, how? Bafana! She stops the traffic dog. She says, oh, Paxton.
Jeez.
Then he's like, he kind of like goes along with it, He's like, kunjani ma'am, Paxton ngimshiya lapha eGoli, what. And I'm listening to this exchange, and this auntie's like in tears. She's praying for him and stuff because I guess he's a drug addict on the show. And she's like,
Jeez.
Then she starts touching his head, starts praying. And he just lets it happen,
Sure.
This whole thing took like 5 minutes, whatever. The auntie goes to her seat. Then I'm like, nigga, what's up? Why don't you say something? He's like, my man, if I have to tell that lady, check it out, bitch.
Sure.
The shit is not real. It's gonna like ruin her life. Why?
Sure.
Took 5 minutes. She said her prayer.
And she's done
The
and life
issues
moves
that
on.
we're discussing on the show are real issues.
Yeah.
We're trying to get that message across to people to
Sure.
say, hey, kushubile la ngaphandle, like people are on drugs, right? Lives are being ruined, Lo mama lo uyireceiva kanjani. So when she sees me clean like this, she thinks, fuck, man, rehab works or whatever. Like this nigga like fixed his life or some shit. Now I'm not gonna tell her no, that thing is all a lie.
But it's
It'll
scary.
Dash her whole reality.
But it's scary because we speak about media propaganda and how it influences people. And if this is a fictional story that
Fictional
generally
story.
people know is fictional
Dude.
and people think it's real, you can imagine when people listen to the news,
Yeah.
there's no way they'll question. It's a fact.
It's a fact, yeah. Well, is it generally fictional or is it generally factual? How is it perceived by people?
Yeah.
In other words, does the majority of the audience think this stuff is real? Or does the majority of the audience know it's not real? And I think that the majority of the audience thinks it's real. Because remember, the demographic that watches that show is, the demographic of the ANC voter. The same reason they make the same decision over and over.
We're
It's the
rolling,
same
we're
reason
rolling
they
by the
watch
way.
that show.
I need
Right?
you to know.
Oh, okay.
We're
Yeah,
rolling.
you have to disclose to me, my man. Just now, I say
Just now
some-
you, hey,
Just now I say some dumb shit. Then
Warrick.
I'm cancelled again. Okay, let's
Warrick,
go.
thank you so much for coming through, bro.
Thanks for having me.
I didn't know
Penuel.
you were a super celebrity till you rescheduled on me like 3-4 times. I was like, yo,
You rescheduled on me like
this
twice as
this
well.
guy must be so busy.
Not busy being a celebrity. Let's put it that way.
How you doing,
Am I
bro?
close enough to the microphone?
Sis, you happy?
Happy
Thanks, bro.
on too. Okay.
How you doing,
I'm
bro?
well. I'm good, surviving, alive, living in the same country as you, fam. So I suppose we're doing about the same. Maybe you've just got more money than me.
I highly
Other
doubt
than
it.
that-
I highly doubt it.
Other than that, we're in the same boat. But grand.
I'm happy to officially meet you, bro. There are certain personalities, I'll call them personalities, but human beings that you see from a distance. And the way they speak and the way they carry themselves, they feel like family. And they feel like, I think I grew up with this. Warrick, who's a celebrity? This guy.
Yeah. Athi ngimbambe la ku Facebook, ngimthumele i-message.
You know what I mean? So
Stop sending me messages on Facebook Messenger, fam. Not gonna reply.
I felt like that with you. And even when we started connecting, there are a couple of people I mentioned, I'm not going to mention them now, where the type of brand and celebrity they are, man, it just, they feel like you've known them for long. So thank you for being genuine. I think is the first start.
What I'll say, Penuel, is something that I got from you. Is I always try to sort of portray like what you see is what you get. So a lot of the stuff
Easier
that you
to-
see me
it's easier
say,
to sustain.
it's much easier to sustain.
Yeah.
I don't want a situation where maslangana, now we meet each other and then you're like, oh, Gandwena,
Sure.
who tweets for you? you know?
Sure.
You want to get that personality across. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Fortunately for me, I've had quite a long and successful run. Clearly, it's working, you know? And I do feel like that uniqueness, you know, it's also something I see in you. I mean, I was listening to your clips. I was like, who the hell is this guy? Obviously, I saw your tweets and a lot of the things that you were saying, it's like I was saying them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's not, let me not say that I was scared to say them, because sometimes you say some shit that's like, this man, you want to get cancelled.
Yeah.
But it's facts. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't honestly say that I've seen you tweet lies. Does that make sense?
I hear you.
Where I can say, like
Sure.
he's pushing it now. You
Sure.
know, there are some people who go onto Twitter and then they just spew some nonsense.
You
that
can
you're
see
like,
it feels like someone
and
sent
it feels
them.
like you're forcing now
Yeah.
to try and create that controversy.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the stuff that you put out is authentic. And I think that's why when obviously we connected on DM, I was like, no, I definitely have to sit down with this guy. Let's try and see if we can be group cancelled and fuck the game up.
Thanks a lot, bro.
So I'm just warning you, just a disclaimer. Before we started rolling here, Penuel told me, we're actually rolling, I have to tell you. I said, yeah, you must give me a disclaimer.
Yeah.
So I'll also give you a disclaimer. I might say some shit here. I don't know how your audience is or if there's
No, relax.
any
Please feel
filters or-
free to say whatever you want. If you have slight regrets after, just let me know and we'll edit it out.
It's highly unlikely, but let's see. Let's see how it goes.
As popular as you are, may we please get a summary of who you are, where you're from, how you got into the entertainment industry.
This coffee is fantastic. This is not cheap coffee, ladies and gentlemen.
This is me, boy, and you're welcome. I'm husband material, baba. Please, coffee.
I insisted that my mug be changed. They were trying to give me a nkomish, that enamel one. I said, apartheid is over. Angifuni.
That Nkomish is the real McCoy. Stop it.
That's the one, my man. So me, just a young guy from Vryheid, came to Joburg in like 2004. I actually came here to study at UJ or Rao when it was changing over to UJ.
Aransa Afrikaanse Universiteit.
And I say,
But
I had
it started
I had
there.
a Rao student card for about like the first half of the year, because it was
Okay.
when the transition was happening.
Sure.
And it was per chance. I was actually supposed to enroll at UKZN and everything was sorted for UKZN. I'd already been on 2 occasions to sort out my registration. And then on the 3rd occasion when I went there, they were like, yo, the course is full.
How?
And I was like, oh, how can the course be full? I've got all of my stuff, you know? And they were like, yo, fam, try in second semester. So that very night, it was a Friday, I think, and registration was closing the Saturday at Rao, where I'd also been accepted. I took a Greyhound bus. I came here at like 6 a.m, went straight to Rao, registered, and then I was a student in Joburg with like no plan.
Jeez.
You know, because the Joburg wasn't the plan. Durban was the plan.
Okay.
But I think it worked out quite well in the end. I suppose everything happens for a reason, as they say. So I did the varsity thing for like 3 years. I did BCom investment management. I dropped out late in the course because I thought I was a clever. I kind of have a problem conforming, you know?
And with authority, maybe?
No, with anything, Jay. Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like, if I
Conforming
want to
mostly.
kind of do my own thing, I do my own thing.
Okay.
Not to say it always works out well,
Sure.
but you know, sometimes you just have that thing, Jay, where you're like, I mean, type of thing.
Sure.
And when I left varsity, I actually got a job, you know, doing something at least related to the course I was doing, where
Sure.
it would be like an internship type thing. But it was the first time I had to actually work 8 to 5, like a proper formal job. Up until then, I'd only worked, you know, your casual stuff. I worked in retail. I worked at a cell phone store. I worked at Greyhound in a call center. I was colored those days, so you have to pass through the call center. Greyhound bus service, Warrick speaking. Yes, sir. From Ermelo to where? Newcastle. Okay. Bamba, you know? And then, yeah, like I was working at that company. That 8 to 5 thing really wasn't for me, man. It was like soul shattering.
Sure.
And I earned a lot of money and I loved working. I loved the people. And I loved the experience. You know what I mean? You know, you feel some sort of self-actualization when
Okay.
you're like, yo, I actually get this stuff and I can do it well.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I was feeling.
Okay.
But I had to be there at 8 and I had to leave at 5 and I had to wear formal pants and pub shirts. I couldn't. And I had to sit in traffic every day, bro, like an hour and a half, because I lived in the West Rand in Joburg. I used to be colored.
Where in the West Rand?
Florida.
Florida.
My
Okay.
man. I was
Roodepoort.
at Florida Lake on a Sunday, everything. I even had blonde hair.
Jeez.
I mean, bro, I came out of that. And then Yeah, I got a call from, at the time, Vugile Zondi. He was the programs manager at YFM, and he was my friend from varsity. We went to varsity together. He was like a year or two ahead of me or whatever. And he was like, yo, we're trying to find a colored guy who can speak Zulu here. We need to replace one. I said, Eish, let me check if I can operate. But if it can save me from here, outing so born.
Sure.
So when I got there, I did like a demo with DJ Monde. The demo was cuck. They were desperate. They were like, we like the demo. You're starting on Saturday, 3 to 6 a.m. So for a while, I tried to run the 3 to 6 a.m. on Saturdays and the Monday to Friday thing. It wasn't working. I think I managed to sustain that for like 2 or 3 months. And then I settled for that 3 to 6 a.m. weekend show. And I thought, let me see what I can make of this at 3,000 Rand a month. It was bad, my man. But then,
how much were you earning at work?
40 something.
40?
Proper.
Sacrificing 40 for 3?
I had a Tez.
Hey, Tez is the best car in the world.
Engine in the Tez. I had 2 sets of rims for the Tez.
Proper colored.
I had sound in the Tez. The Tez was, my man, the Tez was worth half a bar. I didn't even know what to do with the money, I suppose. You know, when you're young, you just spend your money on yourself type of thing. But I moved to that job because I just thought there's something here and I really enjoyed doing it. Even though it was 3 to 6 a.m. on weekends, the characters, it was called The Last Round on Y. I used to bang that show. I had a mix. We were killing, you know. And then, the rest, I moved from there to midnight to 3. Salary went up. I moved from midnight to 3 to 6 a.m. weekdays.
Yeah.
When Mac G moved to midday.
Sure.
Mac G pulled a Mac G move. He got fired. I moved to his show 12 to 3. It was called Prime Mode. It was still myself and Precious Coffee. Then Precious left. She went to travel. I was replaced by Dumi Foster. And then Dumi and I did 12 to 3. Then we did 6 to 9. Then I moved to Drive Time. I did Drive Time with Smash Africa and Pindi. That Drive Time show used to hit, my man. It was called Undisputed.
You're moving fast. Sorry.
Power.
Let's go back 3 to 6, earning 3,000. Then you do midnight.
How
much were you earning there?
5.5, 6 grand, something like that.
And then you go to
midday.
midday.
Then my son was born, my firstborn.
Okay.
Then I was puzzling, boss. But then Monday,
how old are you now?
Suggested I learn how to DJ. Because remember, I had gigs to subsidize that 5,000. It's not like I was puzzling with 5,000 for long.
Do you remember how old you were at that time?
I must have been 22, 23.
Having your firstborn?
Yeah.
Learning how to DJ to supplement income?
Learning how to DJ, I went to Techniques DJ Mix Club.
Okay.
Which was it was a DJ school here in Randburg.
Okay.
Not far from Multi-Choice, that section of Randburg.
Do you know if it's still around?
It is still around. I drive past there, but the guys that taught me, I don't think they're around. And they were big internationally, these Oaks. They were like underground guys. It was Rick and Dave Skins. Like, you know, those Oaks, you don't know them from anywhere mainstream. But the guy will have like 600,000 listens on SoundCloud.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And you're like, what the hell?
Cult following.
That type of thing, cult following, where he's like, oh no, I'm not here this week. I'm going to Barbados. I've got a gig there. Or like, I'm going to Ibiza. I'm going to Thailand or whatever. And I'll be like, damn, Dave, you a boss. I thought you just fat and you work here. It's like, nah, dog, I'm the real deal.
Yeah.
You know, him and Rick. So they taught me on vinyl.
Sure.
And then I just continued going there because like I formed good relationships with people. So even after I'd paid them to teach me how to DJ, they were my dudes.
Yeah.
You know, they'd let me come there and practice, moved from vinyl to CDJ. They'd let me use equipment when I needed to use equipment. Izinto enjalo, you know? And then I also made friends with like venue owners, club owners at the places I used to DJ at.
Yeah.
Where I'd be like, yo, I need to practice. Is it possible for me to use your equipment? You know?
Sure.
Whenever people say they want to learn how to DJ, I always think to myself, well, why don't you ask somebody where you fucking party, man?
Yes.
Go there and say, like during the day. And then in exchange, you give them free gigs. You do the opening set or whatever. But anyway,
it's not rocket science.
It's not, bro. You don't need someone to teach you, because if I teach you, what am I going to teach you on?
Yeah.
I'm not Shimza, bro. I don't have a fucking 500,000 Rand DJ sets up in my house. What is my name? Euphonic.
So you moved from midnight to midday?
I moved from midnight to 3 to 6 a.m. weekdays.
Weekdays?
That's that slot before the breakfast show.
Sure.
Spoo was doing breakfast.
Sure. On Y?
On Y at the time. It was his return period.
Okay.
And I think, what's that called? Spoo. Yeah. Spoo was
money still 5.5 there?
Money there, no, there, but my 10.
Okay. Hey, there's some movement. Yeah.
And these things were happening over like
it's more. It's also more days.
1 year.
It's also more days.
It's Monday to Friday.
No, I'm saying you started on a Saturday.
Correct. Which was only 2 days a week.
Okay.
And then
now you're doing
the weekdays, so little kupu.
Okay.
You know? And then I did that for less than a year because then MacGyver got fired.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't really agree with his firing, but I took his job. You know what I'm saying? I phoned him first and I said, hey, my man, I've been offered your job. Hade, I'm taking the job. He was laughing. He was like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's not like you threw him under a bus or anything.
No, never. I might do that,
sure.
You know? And I didn't agree with his firing personally. But there's inner workings in radio. There's a chain of command. And if you understand the chain of command, you'll know that it was bullshit.
Sure.
But if you don't understand the chain of command, you think the DJ is responsible for everything.
Yeah.
So if I play a song, you blame me.
Of course.
You say, hey, that Warras plays kak music.
Sure.
I've got nothing to do with the music. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Like if you think radio DJs are sitting there playing every song, choosing it for themselves, no.
Can we pause there?
Yeah.
The different role players in one radio show that we know, if you don't mind educating us.
Well, you've got the DJ, the host.
Sure.
That's your first voice. Yeah. That's the person who talks first after a song or before an advert.
Yeah.
They do the live reads. They're the lead voice on the show.
Yeah.
Then you've got second voice, which would be the co-host.
Okay.
Then you might have a third voice. That person would come in and do, for example, traffic or entertainment news or these little tidbits, not for the full hour every time they speak.
Okay.
So if I were first voice and you were second voice right now, I would announce the song that played and then I would throw it to you and say, Penuel, what do you think of that track?
Sure.
Then you come in and you say, that track is kak.
Sure.
You understand? Bese ngena lo munye ke we traffic to say, you guys ngani mapiano mina ngithanda igqom because I'm stuck in 2016. Let me read this traffic, yo. Then I play the traffic thing, that person goes in. So there's a structure and a flow that you work out. Then you've got your content producer. That's the person who prepares a document which will have what are we speaking about today, what competitions are happening on the show, what guests are coming on the show.
They create that themselves.
Or do you influence it around you? So, for example, if Warras is doing the show, I'm not trying to talk about the situation with the water and sanitation department.
Sure.
No. You're going to put some shit in there for me. It must be something that suits my personality.
Okay.
At 5FM, something that was uniquely mine was that slut bags thing.
Okay.
Where I said the club is full of girls, they are slut bags. Yeah, but it was a word I created. I got into trouble at the PCCSA.
Sure.
But that shit went viral. It was fantastic, you know?
And it's uniquely you.
It's uniquely me. Okay. And my producer at the time, Catherine Grenfell, she knew exactly how to give me uniquely me content.
Okay.
That's why your faves sound like they sound.
Okay.
When you think Umuntu is unique, you know?
Okay.
Basically, a technical producer. That's the person who chops up all of the funny moments and shit we have on the show. They'll cut it up into small audio bits that we play throughout the day, almost like an advert for the show. Then you've got the boss. The boss would be the programs manager. It's that person's responsibility to listen how this whole thing comes together. When it's sounding kak is when Warras is the first voice, but Penuel is also the first voice.
Okay.
Many shows like that. If you think about it on radio, everyone is a boss. And you're like, who's the host here? You see? So mina ngiyangena ngithi hey guys nge-weekend yazi besiphuzana mfana besiphuza ivev yabo bese ngena wena and you like lutho mfana thina besiphuza ace of spade. Then it's like, is this one telling a story kudlula this one's story?
Sure.
Bese ngena lo wesithathu and they're like thina yazi besiphuza umchamo mfana. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Then the story just gets out of control because now the first voice has to come back to kind of add to what they've already said. And then that one wants to add that one. The link ends up being 12 minutes of nothing.
Sure.
Because everyone is trying to ride on top of everyone to make it seem like I'm in charge. That's where there's a problem. Your program manager must step in.
Okay.
Or the opposite applies. I say something and then I throw it to you and you perhaps agree with everything I say.
Yeah.
You don't have to. The way that we're supposed to structure the show, for example, me and Nomalanga, there's a lot of things me and Nomalanga agree on. There's also a lot of things we don't agree on. But sometimes, even on the subjects we do agree on, I need to trust Nomalanga to have the level of intellect where she can confidently disagree with me without making herself a boost. And also still making my point. You understand? Where you're disagreeing, but you're disagreeing with facts.
Yeah.
And it's an argument that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that we can give the listener both sides of the argument.
Yeah.
So must city phone us or send us a voice note. We get opposing views.
Sure.
That's something that's also missing from radio. You
Sure.
know what I mean? You'll have the boss there that's in charge, and then all these other fucking clowns that are scared to say anything.
The
that
boss is the
doesn't
programs
say.
manager.
The boss is the host of the show.
Oh, okay. The first voice. Okay.
Yeah, there's the first voice. There's some first voice big bosses in South Africa, and then there's also just others that are.
And then everyone kind of follows him. So the programs manager, technical producer,
That's
content
it.
producer.
Sure. Your traffic person,
Okay.
like third voice
Okay.
sometimes, and then you've got your first and second voice. the
This is
hosts
a this
of
is
the
a
show.
team of a radio
This
show.
is a team of a radio show.
Okay.
You can take away second voice, you still have the same structure.
Okay.
Technical, content, host, programs
Sure.
manager. You can take away your third voice person, and you just have two people bouncing stuff off each other. Njengabo, like Naked and Lulo used to do
Yeah.
a show. They don't need all that technical stuff at that time of the night.
Sure.
They pre-package it.
Okay.
So that when they say, yo, we've got a mix now from DJ Penuel, that thing is pre-packaged. They know what's coming up on the show. Somebody plans it. Naked is an excellent content producer. He does it for the morning show as well.
No, that's dope.
Yeah.
So you come in from MacG, you said 12
to 3, yeah.
12 to
midday,
3.
yeah.
How's the money now?
Prime mode. The money was nice there. It was like 25.
Hey.
For me at the time, 25 was nice. And I was making like maybe 40, 50 from gigs.
From gigs.
Yeah.
And now you're getting to live more of a life you want.
Now
8
you're
to 5.
living, yeah.
You
Yeah,
get to
and I only
travel.
had one child, and he was small. He
Sure.
wasn't in school yet. Now I can't get to live. I can't get to travel. I'm sure enough.
Okay. So it's that, is it called the midday slot?
Yeah, that's the midday slot,
Okay.
prime mode,
And then you said from there you went to drive time. This is all on Y.
all on wine.
Okay.
In 6 years. Then when I went to
That's
drive
quite
time,
impressive. I wanted to ask a question before we get to prime time. Or drive time rather. All of this stuff you're mentioning, the different voices, the content, the technical, these things are meant to be taught. Because I'm just trying to
True,
figure
yeah.
out that if you're being brought in as someone who's not been taught radio, if you're not smart enough to catch things and flow as you
I'm
struggle.
taking off my jacket. Don't be alarmed. In edit, you can add sound effects.
This guy with the radio, jeez.
Full disclosure, I didn't come to the studio with any girls. I brought my young man.
Jeez, full disclosure.
Just in
full
case people
disclosure?
are watching and they say, how Warras
Uba
in
manjo.
studio nabantwana?
So the people
The
that aren't
skill.
taught, they struggle. And I ask this because is it important for people to learn? And do you think the radio stations are doing enough to actually upskill? Because I'll speak about, I don't know their story, but you had a situation of Dineo Ranaka and Sol Penduga. Sol was,
I don't know it to the full extent.
no, I don't know anything. I'm using them as an example. So Sol was coming from Podcast and Chill. He'd been in radio before, I think with Fresh.
Yeah, he co-hosted with Fresh.
But he comes
I worked with
through
him at Y.
and Dineo was leading and Sol is support. And a lot of the fans of Sol from Podcast and Chill are upset because they're like, but why is Sol not? And it's like,
Why
no,
Sol
there's actually a way that
this
radio's
thing-
done and we don't know.
So, okay. You've hit the nail on the head.
So this becomes an educational moment.
Dineo
Yes.
is a legend.
Sure.
Let's get that straight.
Sure.
Whatever problems she has or issues that people feel she has, obviously you can't do a show to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
If you've got whatever issues that
Yeah.
are ailing you, right?
Yeah.
But Dineo knows how to do a radio show.
And she's amazing.
Dineo is first voice material.
Yeah.
She's not a co-host.
Okay.
Yabo. So in my personal opinion, there's no way you can put Dineo as a co-host with someone.
Okay.
That's okay. Let's call that Kaya's first mistake, if you want, for the fans who hate it. And for the ones who love it, they know what I'm saying.
Sure.
Kaya made the right choice because Dineo can carry a radio show on her own.
Yeah.
Sol has always been a co-host.
Yeah.
Sol is not a first voice guy, but Sol is arguably the best co-host I can think of off the top of my head.
Sure.
When he co-hosts, because he comes in with these he's extremely witty. So
Extremely.
he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
Very smart. He's very witty. And no matter what you say, he knows how to pick up on it.
Yeah.
I've never heard it. Sometimes you'll be listening to a show and the host will say something and then it'll be like, yes, what, boom, boom, and then the person that they throw it to is like, yo, weekend, what are you going to do? It's like, what the fuck? You've just thrown this guy something he can't catch.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I've never heard Sol not catch something.
Sure.
So he co-hosted with Fresh. Even at Y, when he was at Y, he came through the Y Academy.
Sure.
And he did the, what do you call this? The training shows by himself. He didn't do a show on his own, as far as I recall.
Yeah.
So as a co-host, he really found his place. You understand? And Fresh saw it. I mean, Fresh is also not a knob, bro. Fresh knows talent when he sees it.
Yeah.
He then found it with Mac G. I think he's a brilliant addition to Podcast
100%.
and Chill. And I've been on that show. I've been there before Saul was even there.
Sure.
You understand? So here he comes into Kaya. Super addition to the lineup. As I say, Dineo is a first voice. Yeah. She's not a co-host. Ayikho indlela nje ukuthi uzofaka uSol abe first voice when he's never been a first voice before on a massive breakfast show.
Yeah.
I don't think Saul even wants that.
Sure.
I refuse to believe that Saul, if Kaya had to say, yo son, Dineo's fired, you're taking over, so he would say no.
Hey, please get another person.
Put me with the first voice.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I hear you.
Even you listen to Skumba and Bad Boy T are together. Can't put Skumba by himself.
Sure.
Let Bad Boy T run. Bad Boy T is a first voice.
Sure.
You can't put Bad Boy T on as a second.
Sure.
Doesn't matter what show. So for me, that structure that Kaya found, because I understand the back end of radio, I don't see it working any other way. But Podcast and Chill is a massive audience.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's strength in numbers.
Of course.
You see, so you've got the public opinion. And the public opinion is always going to be heavy. Twitter's going to say, put Saul, put Saul, put Saul.
Of course.
But no programs manager in his right mind is going to do that because he knows that Saul is strongest as a supporting player. You understand? He is crossing the balls in. He's not heading them home.
Yeah. Whose responsibility do you think it is to educate people on these things? Because we understand it from like a sports perspective that
Yes.
like I see striker lo, we wing. So whose responsibility is it to teach? The public. So because it's the public that comes in and makes a noise. But they don't know.
To be honest, you can't teach the public. You need to just ignore them and do what you do because that's
You can't
the way
teach
they
them.
No. How?
I don't know, like on Radio Explain, guys, I'm the anchor, I'm the lead, this is the co.
Sharp.
So just, we understand you guys are fans, but this is what's happening. I don't know.
You stick to your guns. You know it's the right decision.
Yeah.
You stick to your guns. The show works. The numbers go up. The advertising goes up.
Sure.
When anybody asks you, say, King, numbers are through the roof. Advertising revenues through the roof. Why the fuck would we change?
So you don't think it must be explained to the public?
I don't think you could explain. You'd have to. How often would you explain? Remember, it works with reach and frequency.
Until people know.
Fine. So you explain it once. You make it available on YouTube. If anybody complains, you refer them there. But
So
you can't now. Kaya FM can't put that shit in their Twitter bio.
Sure.
Hey, but you saw Louis' second voice. No, fuck. You have to sometimes. I feel like that's lacking in a lot of management in our media space.
Yeah.
Across the board, is that you don't have people with balls that say, fuck this. The last people I knew that were like that was Vugile Zondi and them.
Sure.
At places like YFM.
Sure.
Those guys took us from fucking call centers.
Shout out to Vugile,
Even
man.
Mac G, you understand? Mac
Shout
G
out to Vugile.
Shout out to Vugile.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing, I would say Vugile, Greg Maloka, at the time, he'd just left Y.
I've heard Greg is a serious legend.
No, he's a boss.
Yeah.
You understand? He'd just left Y. They had an exodus of some of the biggest talent in the country. This is the time when Fresh left, Rude Boy left, Bad Boy T left. Where did those niggas even come from, dog? They built YFM in a studio in Bertrams. That's talent. You can't teach that.
Yeah.
You can't train it. Banjalo nje. It's either you have it or you don't.
Sure.
Right? So they had just left the station. That leaves a massive dent. The colored that I replaced who could speak vernac was Trevor Noah. That nigga's a boss. You don't just lose that guy. You understand? And then everything, sharp, good grand.
Sure.
No ways. You need people with vision that say, we are taking this fucking Zulu colored boy from Vryheid. We're putting this nigga on. And even if he does a link is when you talk. Even if he does a link for 17 minutes talking shit.
Yeah.
This nigga is doing a link for 17 minutes talking shit because umuntu wethu.
Sure.
Bese sobona phambili ukuthi uphelele kuphi. And then what happened? For 6 years I was doing Drive Time. That show was fucking massive, dog. It was hitting 1 million listeners. Shimza, YTKO. That's where Shimza was like on the come up that time. Shimza, Zandy, Miss Cosmo. We had YTKO, which was that hour from 6 to 7 with the mix. It was supposed to be half an hour. Sometimes Shimza and I would push that thing to 50 minutes. There was nowhere that we would go, whether it was one-man show in Tembisa or Caprivi to flippin' Val, where people would say, yes, as Ushimza fetwa ngama effects, go YTKO young Chinese. You want that. You want to walk into KFC in flippin' Edenvale and the person serving you says, yo, Warras yazn gwele ngani, wena no Shimza, yo, YTKO young Chinese.
Sure.
There's a guy I met that was telling me he was recording YTKO with cassettes.
Jeez.
You understand? That's the impact that thing has. But somebody has to say, we're doing this fucking thing. Not negotiable. And we had a boss that time at YFM that was like, we must do 1 hour during your show of talk, current affairs. I was like, fuck that. This is a cuck idea. They did it. The listenership would literally do this.
Sure.
Now, fair enough, you've got to stick to your guns. But if your guns are cuck, you need to fucking leave the guns, boss. But when you know that your vision, the confidence that you have in the idea is, we are backing this horse, that's what you do. You can't switch on public opinion all the time. Imagine if KFM had to bend now and say, okay, this is Fagu Sol. Sol does the show by himself. He fucks it up. He looks like a puss because you've put him in a position he can't play.
Yeah.
It's like taking a defender and asking him to go strike, or goalkeeper and asking him to play midfield.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. So you've put Sol in a position where he's not strong.
Yeah.
He fucks the show up. The listenership goes down. Now those same people that were saying Faganu Sol are complaining.
Sure.
You see?
Sure.
If they were saying put Sol and MacG there because we don't like Dineo, that's a conversation you can have. But be sure, because Dineo is a legend. She also has her audience. You don't just throw Dineo away, bruh.
Sure. Do you feel like radio has, or rather, it sounds like Y took a lot of liberties at the time and it became unique and innovative. And we worry sometimes about some of the creative spaces that they get too formal.
They do. They have to corporatize.
But do they have to? Because, I mean, you look at the rise of podcasts now, which are almost an alternative to radio, because it seems people still crave less of that formal.
People will always love raw content. You'll always get more views on porn than you will on plants growing. But horticulture is also interesting. I'd love to know how a seed germinates. But I'm not going to fucking blom with my phone and watch seeds germinate.
Sure.
I'm probably going to watch fucking Tiger's latest music video where there's just bums. You understand? We are interested in the stuff that's risque. And the same goes for, you look at a sport like UFC. UFC is fucking dominating, bro. I think they hit like, I don't know how many billions they made last year. You know, they're always having that argument about fighter pay. Yeah. Let's just scratch the whole conversation. Let's look at the end figure that UFC hit. This is a company that was in trouble less than 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Out of nowhere, you have stars like Conor McGregor. You can't compare that guy's star power to anyone else on the planet. Yeah. Why? What is he doing? He's mooring people. We want to see people getting moored. You've got that bare knuckle FC. That shit is gory, dog. Some people can't even watch it. They hit each other's faces off there. We love seeing that. That thing's got high numbers. You've got that stupid slap league. That shit is dumb. But it gets maximum views. You know? No one's out here giving the same views to fucking netball. But netball is netball, bruh. You understand? Let's watch some netball. Let's get the numbers up. In the same way, you have this... We want to cross that line and we want to hear that raw, uncensored opinion more than we want to hear the paid for, toe the line opinion.
Sure.
But money comes from the paid for, toe the line opinion. So if you're going to be too raw, it's like MacG is brilliant. That show is funny. You understand? This show, brilliant. But you put Warras on here, he says some dumb shit. Your fucking sponsorship from inkomishi.com gets cancelled. They're like, yo, we are a wholesome family brand, fam. We make enamel mugs and plates. We're not trying to hear this guy talk about poos, what. You see? So you've got to find a happy balance as the curator of this content. Because you need to still make money. But you also can't fucking betray your authenticity. You see? MacG can't come in there and start doing a show with no swearing, no talking about bitches, no talking about fucking, Sol, who did you fuck this weekend, shit like that. He can't, that's his personality. That guy, if you meet him in person, that's actually how he is. He's not being fake on that show. But if you heard him on 947, who the hell is that guy? You know what I mean? It's 20 minutes past 10 p.m. You're hanging out with MacG. Got more music coming your way? Half an hour of uninterrupted music. Give me a call. Come on. But that's how you have to do it on 947. They don't fuck around. But how much do they make a year? R1 billion. Me, I'm also not going to throw away $1 billion, my man, to impress you niggas. For sake, I take the $1 billion.
I worry about the people that run certain spaces because you almost watch industries get destroyed and they don't listen because they use these similar arguments. And money follows views and listenership because ultimately you're trying to sell products.
You are.
And
you need the revenue coming in.
You need the revenue, of course.
You can have 5 million views. But if you have 5 million views on a video of you, discussing, bruh.
But it sounds like you're defending the status quo. And I'm asking...
I'm not defending it. I'm saying, Inje.
But we can change it.
No, can we? There's a discussion we're having.
Why are we not changing it? Because radio's winning now because it's still free to air.
Yeah, but I would say we are changing it. I would say we are changing it. If your podcast existed before COVID, would you have near the amount of views that you have now?
No.
Surely your views have increased over the time period that you're doing
Actually, I'm a bad example because...
No, but just...
But generally for podcasts, yes.
Bro, look at your place, my man. There's like equipment in here worth over a bar. You know what I mean? That's like someone decided to back this horse to say, we are prepared to throw resources behind this content that you're putting on here. Try that shit 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm telling you, would have struggled. I've also looked into it and I've seen, you know what I mean, in terms of how do you extract money from this thing? When MacG started Podcast and Chill again, as an example, we were doing it like on a couch, the one that I was on, at a restaurant, drinking water, my man. You couldn't even buy me a coffee that night. I'm joking. He bought me a Coke. I'm just teasing. But the point is, it grows from strength to strength. But what have you got to do? You've got to stick to your guns. You can't now say, fuck, man, I didn't hit 1 million views. Let me cancel this podcasting. Metro FM. Metro gives you a show there. You're doing a show on weekends called the Penuel Talk, where now we're discussing the energy crisis in South Africa. Fuck off. Stick to this. You stick to this, I promise you it's going to pay off in the end because there's been a natural progression in the consumption of content onto the platforms where this exists. Radio is fucking dying, boss. It makes the money that it makes because there's no other option.
But can it not be saved by having the conversations with the guys in charge?
The people that are in charge were in charge 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
But they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Are they? Let me tell you something, Penuel. If you're sitting in your 5 million rand house, driving your 2 million rand car, and with your fucking wife and your lighties there, you've got other priorities in life. Here come these blacks and they're like, yo, we need to change the status quo, man, because actually, into sifunayo iganje. Maybe you should change abantu bakho, ufake abo Penuel, nabo Warras, nabo MacG. They'll be like, oh my God, those guys are too risky. So now why are we going to do that? Making $1 billion a year. Not a chance. Anyway, get out of my yard. No peace job. It's not going to work. We've all had those. I've had those conversations with those people. I'm telling you, they're not going to fucking put their budget into stuff that they deem risky. But if we continue on the trajectory that we are on now, they will have to, because that's where the eyeballs will be. We just need to find a way where we are not shock jocking people. You see, we can't put out content that's on fucking some nota tip. With a guy, like he purposefully tweets bullshit so that he can get 1,000 retweets and trend. You understand what I'm saying? We can't start doing that. We have to still maintain some level of quality in the content that we produce. Am I right or wrong?
I don't know.
You have to, boss. You can't just start talking shit now to get views. I can't
answer because it's meant to be a conversation. And I worry that, because, as podcasts have been rising, a lot of people are saying radio is dying.
It is dying. The numbers are down. The revenue is down for the most part, at least the places I know. I worked in radio up to and including last year. So I know that it's not what it once was. And even the audiences. Think about, we used to do YFM Kasi tours. We'd land a Lokshin, Noma Yipilogish, Hiesas, like at a mall parking lot. There'd be like 20,000 people there. Do you understand? On a Saturday. We'd market that shit for a week. Show me a radio station that can do that now. You have a thing like Joburg Day. Do you know how much advertising goes into Joburg Day? And it's an established property.
Yeah.
How much money backs Joburg Day? How much advertising goes into Joburg Day? And it's a fucking superior product. They don't fuck around at Joburg Day. From security to the organizing to the lineup. It's got like a 2 million rand lineup. Do you understand? You have something like Delicious Fest. These people put big money and big resources into those type of productions.
Yeah.
We were fucking around with a fucking gig rig, a truck and that pulls up with the stage. Maybe 2 artists there, and up and coming artists from that neighborhood, and just YFM DJs. 20,000 people pull up. You understand what I'm saying? We could do that 15 years ago, 13 years ago. Can't
But
do
it's
that
because
now.
Y was unique as well.
Fair enough, but why is it not unique anymore? What
Because it's
stopped
not
it from being
innovating is
unique?
what I'm saying. And my concern, because
I bet you there's people there, bro, they think they're innovating. They're working there. There's an office.
I have these conversations with so many people because they keep saying podcasts are going to kill radio. And there's been an argument between mainstream and alternative media, including with Unota as well, which I had the conversation with last year. And his whole stance was, fuck mainstream. We need to make sure that alternative social media, uncensored, whatever, goes up.
He's right.
And
Maybe let's check the uncensored part. I mean, I don't believe it needs to be uncensored. Like, you can still put out content that's censored. Like, we could have a podcast about cooking if there's an audience for cooking. Same way that there's people on Instagram that do like these cooking things. They've got like 300,000 followers. So one audience,
Yeah. My thing was, I think we can still have a alternative mainstream partnership in some way. And Usol was one of the first major crossovers for that as an experiment. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh is another one now. His content online is quite politically correct. He's clean. He's got a good image. So when he moved to SABC, he was great.
Politically correct.
So when he moved to SABC, it works for him. But they're the guys that are alternative but the mainstream guys, and they cite the same things. BCCSA, advertising revenue. This is how we've done things. And it's like,
yes.
Can we not sit around the table and you don't come with us with mainstream? We've got the infrastructure and the money and the respect us in our craft. Because I remember having this chat with DJ Spoo where I was explaining to him, there were certain older guests we were trying to get on the Hustlers Corner. And in my opinion, these older people who are legends, icons.
Older like age.
Older in age.
Yeah.
Icons. They were being arrogant. And at that time, I'm like, I'm a nobody. No one knows me. It's chilled. But I'm like, this is what pushes these young hip-hop 2000 kids to actually be like, fuck the OGs. Because these guys don't give us mutual respect. You were a kid at some point. If we're going to collaborate on a track, give me, like, I'm coming with my audience and my views. It may not be at your level, but it's because you guys are like free to air. Imagine if YouTube was free. I'd fucking eat you for lunch.
Free and data was free. Then you'd see a whole new landscape.
Respect me, because I'm saying something. Let's say we record. If I'm going to say swear words, you can bleep them out. Or I'll train myself to not say, to be like, oh, those bees, or fine. But I can't fully kill this thing because that's exactly what the audience is moving towards. And the music changes. The fashion changes. Everything changes. But you guys are refusing to let this. And it's like, should we leave you guys to die because we're actually trying to work with you? Or should we, I don't know, should we keep forcing? Even though you don't respect us because you're like, oh, you got a little YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a little YouTube channel that people have to pay data to watch.
Look, while you keep forcing, when you're not stopping what you're doing.
Of course.
I don't think you should close the door and say, fuck you guys, go die.
Yeah.
I feel like you should keep the channels of communication open. I speak to all my former bosses, and believe it or not, they're all still in radio. This is what I'm saying. These cats have been on in managerial positions for 20 years, my son. You know, what? No offense to them. They're also trying to come with new and innovative thinking. But remember, this thing works in a pyramid. You at the top that makes the decision, you are fed the information from these people at the bottom. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Don't look at my hands, they're dirty. I work very hard.
Sorry.
Right?
Anyways, so, I want to go back to you.
You know, like,
because this is actually quite a detailed conversation.
But don't close the door. Leave it open.
This is not for me. This is a general conversation for podcasters.
Saying for podcasters in general.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got those channels of communication open. Keep them open. Because, dude, the other thing is, with this podcast space, something, you can be doing the podcast every day. You know, Andrew Tate is a good example. That guy, he was doing YouTube for years, bruh.
Yeah.
And the stuff that he used to do before was shit. Stuff was pop. He'd be like, I don't want to get on a flight. And then the hostess asked me, chicken or beef? I don't want no fucking chicken or beef. Me, I want lobster. I want lobster every day because I like lobster. I listened to this, I'm like, wow. It's like a 7-minute clip of him trying to just take anything and discuss it. And then he started saying, all the bitches are whores. Fix yourself, my man. And then you'll catch a proper thing. Me, I want a Ukrainian virgin, 19 years old. I'm not trying to fuck with these 26-year-old slut bags. Yes. Broke the internet. Next thing, he went viral. Now we know who he is. But if you watch his content before that, this guy,
Sure.
And no one was picking up what he was putting down. Am I right or wrong?
No,
so
you're right.
I'm saying, let's say we here on the Penuel show today, I make some announcement or I say some shit and it goes super viral. I say I'm actually in conversation with Elon Musk. Don't worry, the shit is going to be free from now on. Starlink is coming. It's on CNN. It's on flipping Sky News Australia. All of a sudden, this one podcast gets 20 million views. Now we're in business. Those niggas are going to come to us. So don't stop what you're doing while waiting for something to happen. You understand what I'm saying? The time will pass anyway.
Sure.
Kubega. And all the podcasters should do that. Work on your craft. Work on your product. Make that shit clean. You know where you started, boss. You didn't start with the $1 million equipment shooting the podcast. But you're here now. What else
The
can
$1
you
million
do
is an example for people about time to go tracker.
Yeah.
Now my lifestyle audit.
And it's not ours. See,
It's not ours, Fitz. We
hired it. In exchange for performances and appearance fee.
Exposure.
You check what I'm saying, Pen?
Someone's
got to take it, bro.
But I know this is an important conversation that almost all of us need to have because at the core of it, for me at least, we're all human beings trying to make it. And these are just platforms. A lot of them we don't really own. They are people, whether it's a YouTube, at the end of the day,
and we front man.
Just the front man, YouTube, you know what I mean? So
I knew this guy's got funders. I was wondering who those white people were.
I say, Warrick.
Rob heads off.
Warrick. We need to have these conversations because we need to try win. We're fighting so many external battles as South Africans. Trying to tell our story, trying to be authentic, trying to be honest on platforms, and then we get censored on certain mainstream. Then you come to alternative media where today again we're getting censored. We used to speak about COVID-19 virus. We want to speak about transgender, LGBT. We can't.
Ooh, that one.
Hate speech and what.
So a red flag. Landmine.
So in all of that, we're just trying to win. And the question is, how do we do it in the most authentic, maybe arguably African way? We don't have to be demeaning and demoralizing and swear at people and bash, but it's just, how do we win? And if you guys have a platform that has been built over decades and is worth billions, and we have unique stories, how do we find each other? And that becomes a conversation that we're meant to have without necessarily we're beefing, fuck mainstream, I'm a podcaster.
It shouldn't be a us and them conversation.
Yeah, because we're all trying to
pull in the same direction. Yeah. However, have you thought about who's watching here and who is listening there? What's to say the audience that's watching here even has any interest in listening there and vice versa?
Sure.
Recently there was that debacle with ENCA and the ETV morning show. Now, I have some knowledge of it because I work with that production company. We did Man Cave for years. They're my guys. Yeah. You understand? So when the news came that they're going to simulcast the ETV morning show on ENCA, I thought, well, that's fucking brilliant. Considering that the ETV morning show that plays for free on ETV has the biggest numbers of all those breakfast shows. Sure. Like, it's big. You understand? It's big for a breakfast show.
ETV is bigger than I thought. I've been looking at the numbers.
Yes, you understand. Yeah. But ENCA is not as big as that breakfast show. So say, for example, ENCA, I'm using round figures so we can just make it for ease of this conversation. Say ENCA has got 10,000 viewers and the ETV morning show has got 100,000 viewers. Surely by bringing this 100,000 that watch this, introducing them ngapa to say, hey guys, you're going to lift the numbers of this one. But at the same time, these viewers that are watching, they know, so ETV every morning from whatever it is, 6 to 9. The shit was on for a week, they cancelled it. They said, it doesn't suit ENCA's look.
Jeez.
How? Okay. What do you expect it to be? Because I read
and
a few
week
of the
is
articles.
so short.
Bro, shit was on Monday, cancelled on Friday.
A week is so short.
So, you know what I mean? I called my dudes. I'm like, what's happening? They said, hey, boss, they cancelled it like this, like that. Yeah, bro. And then I saw some of the articles and the tweets. And I was busy at the time, but I saw like tweet. And I'm like, how? Didn't this thing just start on Monday? How can it be cancelled on Friday? And then just giving it thought by myself, I read these articles that were written on it, right? And it was like, people were tweeting saying, what kind of a studio is this? It looks so cheap. It looks like this. It looks like that. And I thought to myself, well, that's a little bit demeaning because considering, what do you expect? Who is the audience that is watching that show on ETV for free every morning?
Yeah.
Do you think they shop at fucking Mr. Price Home or what's this thing called? Fucking
whatever these fancy furniture places are. Yeah.
Or work or Vailance.
Sure.
These people don't shop at Vailance, boss. They're not buying 100,000 rand couches. So, when they're watching it, they are fine with the couch from fucking Mr. Price Home. When this person that was writing the article, maybe you have Vailance furniture because you have your own fucking media business or whatever. You understand? What do you expect to see in that time slot is my point. Because the audience that's watching it is fine with it.
Yeah.
They voted so with their eyes. The numbers of that show justify the fact that they like the way it looks.
Yeah.
You can't bring it here and then you say, oh, this is fucking too cheap for us, eh? What are you saying? You know, like that was the kind of attitude that I was feeling from the tweets that came in. But again, why don't those ones stick to their guns?
Yeah.
You made the decision to put this thing here.
And 1 week is too short, man.
So you can increase the audience. Why don't you stick to your guns? That's the decision you made. You back the horse that you're backing until it works.
I want to go back to you. So we're on Drive Time. This is meant to be a summary of how you got into the entertainment
we're
space.
Drive Time now. Yes. Okay.
This is meant to be a summary because I actually wanted to go back to Vryheid. I wanted to speak about your heritage and why you speak isiZulu.
I talk a lot.
And now this summary is gone for... Jeez. Sorry, let's quickly do Drive Time.
Yeah.
And then I'd like us to go back to Vryheid.
Right. So Drive Time I did with Smash Africa and Pindi.
Yeah.
I think when I came on to Drive, it was in the middle of the year. Tolly B left. He went to 947.
Yeah.
Did he go to 947? Yeah, somewhere. Tolly B left. Anyway, he was doing it. It was called En Route 6. I took over En Route 6. I think I changed the name in the second year to Undisputed. But I came in and I inherited his team, which was Pindi, the content producer and co-host.
Sure.
And more like a third voice, if you will, Red Traffic and stuff, and Smash Africa.
Yeah.
And Smash Africa and I were like the kings of talking shit. You understand? Because YFM had an audience where, again, this is my thing, who is listening?
Yeah.
You understand? If you are not the target demographic, don't judge us.
Sure.
You understand?
True.
It's like having white friends or even like some colored people. Let's call it people who don't understand something like inyama yenhloko. Okay? And you take them and you're like, hey, I'm just going to pop past my and just get something to eat. Right? Sure. You're going to take the white person there. The white person is going to look at the nyama yenhloko and say, I think I'll pass.
Sure.
You understand?
Nyama yenhloko is meat from the head of a cow.
From the head of a cow.
And it gets chopped and cut right there in front of you.
In actual fact, it's got very little fat. And the fat that it does have can be consumed. Yabo?
No hygiene standards there. They chop it with an axe on a tile.
But it's clean because you vote you. So the fire kills the germs.
Sound like a proper black person.
Right. Okay. Now, if we're eating the nyama yenhloko, if the white person that we are with comes now and says, like, ew, how can you guys eat that? Bro, it's going to offend some of the people there.
Sure.
So you'd rather say, oh, no, thanks, not for me. I think I'll just grab a toasted chicken and mayo. No problem, boss.
Sure.
Sharp. In the same way, a lot of the time when this audience conversation comes in, just a little bit about what we were saying earlier, I feel like the people judging the product are not the audience. You understand? Yeah. I can pass judgment on a lot of the shit I see on Moja Love.
Yeah.
But I'm not the fucking audience.
Sure.
I'm not trying to see fucking Mary Beth from Ennerdale cheating on Cheslin, and then Cheslin is mooring at one. That's not me, bro.
Sure.
I'm not colored anymore, as I say.
You're not colored anymore.
I'm not the target audience for fucking...
You're not colored anymore.
No.
Anymore.
Retired. Anymore. Cancelled.
Retired.
One time.
These are the things we're meant to be chatting about.
Sorry,
please, Karen. You'll speak about the audience and drive time.
So the audience, know who the audience is.
Yeah.
And that drive time audience, that YFM audience, they loved that type of content. That's why if you look at some of the most successful shows on YFM, they catered to that audience.
Sure.
And the numbers were phenomenal. You had Chili M, Udedi, no Mum Daddy. That time Dineo was the co-host of Chili M.
Sure.
And he used to do this thing where daddy, can you buy me? You phone in and you say, daddy, t-shirt, keep. What's some fun? What's the land skipper? Some keep. Come down to Rosebank Mall.
Yeah.
You know, that shit used to bang. The phone lines would go absolutely crazy, right? You had Spoo on the Wildlands, right? In the days when Zaga used to come in as a cameo on that show,
sure.
bro. And he would come in and he would do this thing called a laugh for nothing, right? It's the dumbest shit. It'd be dead silent. Then he'd say, this is a laugh for nothing. Quiet. And he's like, this is a laugh for nothing. Then he starts laughing. Then Kara starts laughing. Then Soli Vista. Then you understand.
Sure.
And it was like 5 minutes of fucking laughing.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, this is a laugh for nothing. Then the phone line. Phone about there. You know what I mean? Stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
I used to on that 3 to 6 a.m. show. I didn't have prizes to give away.
Sure.
Right? And because at that time of the morning, you come from the club or whatever, you're drunk, you go to the garage, what do you buy? You buy a garage pie.
Sure.
Yeah, bro. It's before Endicho.
Sure.
You buy a pie. So I would take calls, and then let's say you call in and you say something brilliant. Then I'd be like, yes, there's Penuel. Out in Klabang a pepper steak. Yeah, bro. Then I had these audio cues recorded by this other guy, one of the technical producers, Kabza. He'd be like, pepper steak. And he added effects, you know. Then it's got drums, and people would love it. They'd phone in and they'd say, Exe Warras. Once I'd moved from that show now,
sure.
I'm now doing drive time. People would call in and say, Warras, I'm Klabang a pie steak and me.
That's dope.
You check what I'm saying.
That's creativity.
So know your audience, bro.
Yeah.
And I feel like me and Smash on that show, it was perfect for that audience. I didn't do a show similar to what I did, for example, at Kakasi. You understand? Because the audience was different. And that's something that's also missing, is that you'll have a more accurate idea of who your audience is here than those motherfuckers do about who's listening to them. And you can hear it in the product. You understand? You out here and you're telling us about your fucking Louis Vuitton bag and your G63. Who do you think is listening to you, my man? Those people are listening to Penuel. You understand? They've got data. They come on YouTube and they listen to conversations at length about subjects that they enjoy. Not fucking listening to you. They're playing air horns and talking shit. You understand? It's not them. It's really not, because most of them are not available at that time to listen to the radio.
Yeah.
So know your audience. Give away fucking pepper steak pies and love for nothing. You understand? Here Shama numbers are cool. And nobody's doing that because they're all trying to corporatize.
I hope someone brings back that Precious Africa show.
Yes,
since
she was my co-host,
Precious
bro.
Coffee.
Precious Coffee.
It was such a monumental show.
Yeah.
Precious
who
Coffee.
found that chick?
Who found it?
Mac G, my man.
That's too dope.
I'm telling you, Mac G, that was his co-host on 12 to 3.
She decided to do a TV show where she was traveling around the continent of Africa, just documenting. We need so much more of that.
She left my show 12 to 3 to go and do that.
And then she stopped.
And then, no, like she's married and stuff. I'm kidding, she lives overseas now. She married some white guy. They've got kids. Like,
she's got a little Warras. What? Huh?
She's like a coolile.
Yeah,
no, and like Usafana, she's still very passionate about it. The last time I spoke to her on DM, I think, on Twitter and on Instagram. You know, not like maybe maybe like last year or the year before. It was actually about something Africa related. I can't remember. Somebody had asked me for a TV show brief or something. And that's what she's doing now. But I think if someone had to come and back the horse, my man Precious will come and do that. Come with the budget, come with the creativity, come with the fucking vision. You understand? And say, Precious, that shit you used to do was dope. She'll come back, she'll do it, my man. Somebody did that for Burna Boy. They said, hey, my man, Yekela lento le ukuya South Africa ukulala couchini yabo Dallas. Fika put. Iza ngale music oyiculayo. Boom, boom, boom. Now he sells out fucking DSTV Fest 2 days in a row. So big boss. Somebody backed that horse, you understand, and believed in the sound that he was making. They didn't ask Burna Boy to come there.
Sure.
They backed what he was doing. That's what they do in the States. They take Lil Baby. They say, my man, we believe in this thing that you're rapping here. Here's 2 bars. Knai Lamborghini. Ubangene boy. He buys some chains. He shoots some videos. He's Lil Baby.
That was something unique about YFM, backing raw talent.
Backed raw talent, didn't back down.
We don't have that anymore.
No chance. Go there now, try and do some shit like that, you'll be fired. Look at me. I don't have a job. No one's trying to hire me. You understand? Me, I come there and I say what I want to say. You understand?
Let's go to Fred, bro. I'd like to know.
Let's go.
Your parents, your parents, your upbringing. Because those are always some of my favorite conversations. Yeah.
My parents, my dad was from here. But
here being Joburg?
Yeah, here in Joburg.
Okay.
But like, you know, he wasn't married to my mom.
Okay.
He married someone else. So I've got like a brother and a sister from that auntie.
Sure.
And then he died, shame. He was shot in 1994.
Shit,
like,
I'm sorry.
About that thug life and shit, you know what I'm saying?
He was about that thug life?
He was about that, yeah, like, you know, coloureds, my man. The propensity for violence. Your
dad was coloured?
Yes.
Okay.
They want to settle everything with violence. Does that make sense?
I'm not going to agree to you because I've got a coloured audience that doesn't agree to the stereotypes.
Your coloured audience knows what I'm talking about. As a former coloured myself, we settle things with violence. We arrive in a place, you look at me, I look at you. They dislike me because I'm a Mexican. I've got sharp features. I'm good looking. Bitches like me. Immediate problem. Mangfi Endawi. Whenever I would DJ at coloured events and parties,
sure,
there was a select number of photos I could take before niggas started getting agitated. We used to do event security as well. Whenever we would do event security at a coloured event, you could have 10,000 people at a black event, and if there was one fight, I'd pay you 100 rand. Sure. You can have 100 people at a coloured event, and if there's less than 10 fights, you pay me 100 rand. You understand what I'm saying? They fucking fight for every reason.
What do you think is the reason that coloured people are known as violent?
It's like a culture.
Where does it come from?
That's how we settle stuff. I don't know. It's got something to do with, like, we grow up idolizing like gangsters, those type of figures. I remember when I was like, I used to be into like street racing. And so was my dad and my uncle. Let's call my uncle his closest friend.
Yeah.
They used to, sure, stuff, you understand? They'd take a kusheshe, we go to Industria for drags. I was like 12, 13 or whatever at the time. Yes, they spin that kushesh till the fucking tires pop. Then they jump out, they say, and stuff. People go crazy. They take their shirts off. They say, speaking Afrikaans, all these little slogans that they throw in. Me, I'm also there. I'm also trying to be a coloured. Because young chabulis already. But now, in retrospect, I'm like, what the fuck were we getting excited for? Have you ever attended a gangster's funeral?
No.
Here.
I've been to taxi owners and taxi drivers
go
funerals.
To a coloured one, my man. They come there, no one tells them.
Yeah,
everyone must bring a gun.
Shooting guns, boy.
Then you're shooting guns. Why do we do that?
Do you think it's movies?
I don't know why
Maybe the mafia movies may have an influence.
It's not movies. It's mafia culture. You know, there's some coloured niggas, like your reputation is everything. So you've got like figures, even like you see the same thing like in, let's call it the taxis or Elokshin. There'll be that guy, sure. This guy is like serious, don't fuck with him type of thing. It's to a larger degree in the coloured community. But I think what I've seen happening in like I had a grandpa, he was married to my grand's, so my mom's mom, sister, right? His name was Opa Cisco, right? And as children, we all loved Opa Cisco. He was our guy. He was a very mundane, routine guy, bruh. This guy was retired. He he moved from the house to his chair, which was on the stoop there in the sun.
Sure.
He made sure that the stoop had to be polished. He wanted everything to be clean. The yard had to be swept, like a house in Eldos. You know those apartheid houses. Sure. The yard had to be swept, but the whole fucking yard was sand. Anyway, they swept the sand.
Sure.
He would sit there and he would polish his shoes. He had like floor shims. Let's call it 5 pairs of floor shims. That nigga spent Monday to Friday polishing shoes. Okay? So that on Saturday, he could wear one pair to go to the shops. And then on Sunday, he'd wear the main pair to go to church.
Boom.
But always dress neat. Brentwoody, that type of,
Sure.
being attire.
Sure.
With like a pointed t-shirt. Like he was always neat, always tidy. Didn't have much.
Sure.
Everybody knew that timer. All of the gangsters knew that timer. You understand? And I was obviously still small. I was like, yo, this nigga's popular. You understand? Then as you get older, they tell you stories about them. They're like, hey, this one. Man,
Opa
it's the
Cisco.
last number, Opa Cisco, King Yum. Yes. Then you're like, what the fuck? Then like as the story goes, back in the day when the original like Fast Guns or whatever the gang was called at the time, right? Let's cut Fast Guns out. I'll pick that up because I'm not trying to fucking catch smoke, dog. In any case, the original gang, right? Sure. Let's call the gang the gang.
Sure.
He was one of the senior guys in the gang, right? And whatever issue happened, rival gang, they had a fight. He shot those guys. Everyone was now looking for him, right? So he came home. He told his wife, take the kids, take everyone, go to your sister's house. Right? I heard Penuel is looking for me and Warras is looking for me. So go and tell everyone, Penuel and Warras will find me here. I'll be in my house, one man. You understand? And he sat there with the lights off and his gun on the table. And he waited for those ones. Because they were telling everyone they're going to come and get him. He waited the whole night. By morning, nobody came. That nigga was a legend. Because now people were like, how? You're saying you're going to fetch him. He's there, one man. Everyone was reporting it. People that were walking past the house were like, yo, that nigga sitting in the kitchen one day.
Sure.
That's how the story goes. Legend. Now as coloureds, we will fucking idolize this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I imagine the story's been edited plenty of times. I'm sure that's not how it played out. A. B. Who said they were looking for him? You understand? Did it come from them? Or were people saying, like on playground fights where it's like, yo, Penuel, Warras said you a puss, man, you was a mega. You understand what actually happened? But that's how the story goes. You know what I'm saying? And he was known that, yes, you cannot fuck with this timer. That was 50 years ago or something.
Sure.
From then, I can give you 10 similar stories now about guys that are my age. I can give you another 10 about a guy who's 10 years younger than me. The stories are all similar. They all repeat.
Sure.
You understand? I've got uncles and cousins that have been shot, killed. I have killed people. I've got 2 that are sitting in jail, 4 that are sitting in jail for murder. You understand? There's one in particular. I was so close to that guy when I was small, and then he fucking goes to jail for cash in transit. I miss that guy, dog. You know what I'm saying? He's my guy.
Sure.
But like, he killed people. Like what do I do now? I can't. The colored way of thinking would be, that's my dog. He did what he had to do. Bo. For what? You understand what I'm saying?
You disagree?
I do disagree because he killed these people in what? In the pursuit of money. I can't agree with crime. I can't.
Why not?
Fair enough. I still love him. He's my guy.
Yeah.
But he must sit in jail. You're going to find me protesting outside the prison saying, hey, release my cousin.
When I sit with colored gents, or when I look at the colored story in South Africa, well, there's number one, the joke that coloreds are always angry and violent because it's the black and the white inside fighting. The other one is I think a lot of them had to create a new culture because they were almost the forgotten children.
But why did they create this one?
I personally think it's movies. You might think it's something else.
Bro, but it existed before movies. Like I'm saying, Opa Cisco was big in the 70s, dog. 60s.
There was the Rat Pack and about Frank Sinatra in those days.
Yeah, but were they? Come on, man. Those were not.
It's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's not Rambo.
Even the way they dressed. It's just my opinion.
Fair enough.
I think Andre 3000 speaks about if you're going to tell gents to stop, I'll summarize it for the South African context. If you're going to say the gangs and the drug dealers in the Cape Flats and elsewhere must stop, the question is they must stop and do what? Because a lot of people don't have alternative options. They can't work at a nice call center. They can't go to RAW. They can't be on YFM. And they also want to be cool. Maybe they see Warras pulling through with a car. I'm your cousin. I fucking want the same car, but I'm not a celebrity and I fucking didn't go to school, etc. But I want
So
the
I
same
should
thing.
go and steal.
No, it's what options do I couldn't play for Bafana. I'm not Benny McCarthy,
You see,
Stephen Parker.
I don't subscribe to the what options
or
I
Stephen
have.
Pienaar. I'm not an athlete. I'm not a rugby player. I mean, Ashwin Willemse also left the gangs through rugby.
Yeah?
Some of the other chains left gangs because of soccer.
Short.
But now if you've got none of that and you can't get a lekker job, but you also want a Nga life,
Okay.
what must I do?
Your Nga life can't come at the cost of other people's
Yes,
lives.
that's nice for you to say because you've got a Nga life.
That's just the way it is. You know,
I
so
understand.
there's a lot of people that have pissed me off, right? That have pissed me off. They've knocked me for money. They've fucked me around. I'd like to kill them. Why can't I kill them?
Because you've got options.
No,
Are you going to make money?
No, I just want to kill them.
Your cousin was going to make money.
Yes, he was going to make money, but he made that money, at the cost of somebody else's life. And I'm saying there has to be a place. I'm saying, cool, panda, fucking you selling drugs. Okay, you're destroying lives. We have to have a place where we draw the line. We can't allow lawlessness to continue.
Yes.
Because we're saying, hey man, they've got no option, they must sell drugs. Believe me, I fully understand. As I go there, I bloom with them. As I'm saying, I still have family in Eldos. I love them to bits. They love me. They're my dudes. You understand?
What must
but
they
I
do?
also have to think at a level where I must come on this platform and be responsible.
Yes.
And the responsible thing to say is the truth. The truth is it cannot be allowed to continue.
What must they do?
What must they do?
To make money.
They need a plan, boss. I don't
What's
have the
the plan?
answers to what they must do, but they can't continue doing what they're doing.
What's the plan?
Hey, they need to upskill themselves. Well, let's start with the first thing. How educated are they? What sort of effort do they put into their schooling? Let's start there. Because I can tell you now.
Probably minimal.
Exactly.
Because they
now,
probably join gangs
whose
in high
fault
school.
is that? Yeah, but who decides to join the gang?
Well, they look up to role models. The Warras in the Kasi who's got a lekker kushesha.
Yeah, so now you're looking up to a role model who's actually not a role model. Your home is a broken home 9 times out of 10. You've got one baby mama, one woman with 4 baby daddies and children all lahlugene. That's not good. It's not a good upbringing.
Yeah.
I know someone that stays somewhere that's got fucking like 13 children. And I think it's from like 6 fathers.
This is a lady.
Cool. It's a lady.
Is she hot?
No, she's shit. I don't know. But as an example,
Sure.
those lighties are fucking doomed. They're doomed because the circumstance that they come from is
But when you say doomed, it means there's no plan.
there is no plan.
So they're going to become criminals.
There needed to be a preventative measure before they.
But they're here now.
Because now who must fall around for that?
But they're here now.
Yeah, they're here now, but
And
we
they're
can't.
doomed.
Yeah, they're here now, but we can't allow them to fuck our lives up. What did I do? I
Should
went
we
to school.
should we
I
arrest
studied
them
hard.
before they
I'm
think
not-
of crime?
No, you don't arrest them before, but somebody's got to put the line and say, hey, asqaleni guys, siqala grade 1. What are we doing from a schooling perspective to encourage these children to school so that they read at a level that they're supposed to read at? They are proficient in mathematics at a level that they're supposed to be proficient in. So that for the next generation that's 6 years old now, if we start with them, let's try and save them for the next 20 years, as an example. These ones that are now already 20 to 40, we've got a bit of a fucking problem. We're going to have to round them up and put them in jail.
How?
If you're committing crime, criminals have to be punished. So somehow that's what needs to be done. Do you know what they did in Brazil with the Battalion of Special Forces, BOPE? Right, so there's a unit in Brazil called BOPE, B-O-P-E. People can Google it. There's also a movie on it called Elite Squad. Shit was out of control. Complete lawlessness, madness. Right, they're in the favelas. They were doing their own fucking thing. The cartels were running everything. It was a mess. The Pope was coming to visit or some shit. Like, he'd announced, yo, son, I'm visiting in 2006. And this was 2004, whatever. I don't remember exactly. But the Pope was coming, let's call it, in a year or two from now. For like 12 Brazil vibes. And between the president and the Minister of Justice and whoever at the top there, they were like, yo, tourists are coming here, they're getting their kidneys stolen. We cannot have this. You know, we need to fix the place. What do we do? They said, okay. Some senior police and army, they met, they had a meeting, they said, right, we're going to choose the best of the best. So Tata Mahawks, Sbuza Mahawks, Uguti Lagu Mahawks. Who is the best hawk in your division? Right? Say there's 20 division of Hawks. You take there's 100 in each division. You take 5 from each division. You've got your first 100 soldiers. They're the best of the best, the elite squad. Same in these army units. Same in crime intelligence or whatever. Like they started recruiting from the police, the most honest. Like they put extensive investigation into selecting these people. And then these guys became like a squad of 3,000 whom they sent for training, like Navy SEAL level training and indoctrination into you are a skull. You don't take shit. You don't fuck around. You kill without warning. Anyone that's selling drugs, carrying a gun in the favelas, we am tubul. You're not here to arrest. You are hit squad type of thing. Bro, they sent that Poppe unit in there, my man. Zamosha. What happened? The crime rate did this. The favelas, call it 70% of the favelas was cleaned within that 2-year period. So by the time the Pope came, it was a much safer place.
All but that for the Pope?
No.
No. Yeah, I love the story. It's just annoying that it was for the Pope and not just for the people.
Yeah, watch that movie. I encourage everybody. Go watch Elite Squad, but then also do your own research on that BOPE thing. That BOPE stands for Battalion of Special Forces. Now, since then, I'm not saying the unit was perfect. It was like, let's call it their Amaperete.
Sure.
Their Special Forces.
Sure.
Right? Now, over the years, as the squad has grown, that first 3,000 or whatever that they started with, those niggas were the real magoyas.
Yes.
And then obviously, my look increased. Obviously, of this 3,000, maybe 200 died. If one of them died or was killed in the favelas, yes, there was a shutdown.
The retaliation.
The retaliation was, like Donald Trump in that interview says, I called him on the phone, I said, Abdul, if you touch one of our soldiers, I'm going to hit you harder than anyone is. That warning. That's what those guys did, because they took a stance in Brazil to say, we will not let everybody else's rights be trampled because these motherfuckers have no other choice. Yeah. We cannot allow that, because that leads to the degradation of society as a whole. If I've got a barrel of water and I drop 500 milliliter of oil in it, that entire barrel of water is
contaminated.
It's contaminated. You can't drink any percentage of it. You understand? What do? I've got to get the oil away from the water so that the water can thrive. You can't say, but it's only 500 milliliters. Yeah, oil. So where else can I spill it? No.
So we speak about colors now, but I think of black kids, and we were speaking
about colors. I don't want to say it's a uniquely colored thing.
Sure. I want to bring in black kids because we speak about lawlessness and we speak about following protocol. And what a lot of criminals and kids who look up to criminals are starting to see, and some of us who are clean members of society, you're seeing presidents, ministers,
give me a vibe there, knob.
Heavy politicians, some highly educated people committing crime at the highest levels. And it's like, well, if your presidents and your ministers and these other tenderpreneurs and these guys are also breaking the law, why does this guy who's selling drugs have to go to jail, but this guy who's pushing pharmaceuticals,
right,
down children's throats under ADHD or whatever, that person is living fine?
Yeah, but the ADHD guy isn't committing a crime according to any law.
No, we're talking about pushing drugs. Yeah, we're talking about this guy saying, no, these kids.
Yeah, but I mean, thank you, my angel boy. This is my gorgeous son, but you guys can't see him. Right. My thing is...
Our leaders, the people that are meant to protect and preserve the law, we are seeing them. Arms deal.
There are 500 milliliter of oil.
Look at Marikana, look at... Yeah. Now you're telling kids, hey, do the right thing, go to school. It's like, okay, forget the guys, the kasi, in the townships, in the favelas, in the whatever.
Yeah.
Look at the lawyers, look at the accountants. I mean, Steinhoff and Marcus Joester, that's a chartered accountant. You've got senior advocates, you've got judges, you've got presidents. Look at what these people are doing. So why are you saying crime doesn't pay when these O's are also doing it?
Yes, look, I don't say that crime doesn't pay. It does pay. People make money from it. When you say pay, what do you mean? Right? But the thing about it is, what do they say? All that's needed for evil to
thrive or whatever
is for good people to do nothing.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a Marcus Joester, but there's also always going to be a fucking Warras there. You know, they the street criminal. I didn't want to name any names. Phew, almost had to edit that shit out. There's always going to be that guy at the street level, right? They're in the Cape Flats. And there's also going to be a Marcus Jooste.
Yeah.
You have to clean them all up. But you need different units to clean them up. The guys that go into the Cape Flats there, they're not the same guys that go to Steinhoff. And sometimes people want the law to be applied equally when the crimes are not equal. But they're both crimes. It's not to say what Marcus Jooste did is necessarily better than a drug pusher is doing, because it's white collar crime. It's to say it needs to all be dealt with. Am I right or wrong? Marcus Jooste gets caught for what he's done, and the court needs to decide how long he must go to prison for it. So say Marcus Jooste gets 15 years for argument's sake. That guy that's pushing drugs and caught with drugs is also going to get 15 years. They're in the same jail, boss. You understand? But they're not prosecuted by the same organs of state. Because I believe to solve the problem in the Cape Flats, you can't send in Shamila Patoi and them. It's not going to work. And I don't believe you can solve the Steinhoff problem by sending in Ama Perete. It's not going to work.
Do you think we have enough good people
No, we do
in
not.
SAPS, in the SANDF? And
Oh.
where do we find our own sort of Avengers? You know, good people who, like those guys in Brazil, are willing to go hard. Who are like,
100%.
look, if I love the story of Batman. It's for this reason. You've got a good guy who is willing to enact more violence than the bad guy. And that's why the bad guy fears him.
That's why Pope worked in Brazil.
Yeah.
They said, you niggas think you're clever? No problem.
You think we have enough
More
of those
weapons,
people here?
Better trained. We do.
Where?
But God.
We don't see justice being served,
We've
bro.
got enough of them to start. And we've got more than enough to train. I'll give you an example. We did event security at stadiums, right? When we came in, the issue that the stadium was having was there'd been a stampede a month or two prior. 2 people died. The reason the stampede happened is because when the numbers grew to a level where they were now unmanageable, people pushed the gate down. These 2 fell under the gate. Bawanyatela, they died. Stampede. It wasn't a big stampede. It was about 140 people or so, 150 people. But if 150 people stand on a gate panel, you know, the size of this room, and you underneath it, it's a lot of weight. It's like 3 tons or something, you know. You're dying. It's like if I drive over you with a bakkie, you know what I mean? So they brought us in because they said, yo, we heard you guys do events and, you know, you've been quite efficient in the way that you handle events. Because like I said, we used to also do these colored events. Most problematic. Where people now, you know, get clever inside their fights, they catch a club, they get thrown out, they go to their car, they fetch a gun, they phone their uncle, he comes there in pajamas with the gun in the pajama pants, the aunties there swearing us, telling us our mother's poos, what. We were now au fait with dealing with the problems of that nature. So this one, ubala for us. But when we came in with bouncers. You know what I mean? People know Olympus. Even to this day, people still tweet me when they used to see me at the stadium. We came in there and we replaced security guards. You know the guy that wears a bib that opens the boom?
Yes.
We came with Iskore Singak, 120 kilo linebacker, right? That goes to gym. And the way that we ran it is at that point where the pressure is applied by the fans. Because sometimes it's not the fans' fault. It's not everybody applying pressure. But if you're in a mass of people, hey, bro, you're going with the mass of people. You can't be like, hey, no. So what we did is, plain and simple, we met this crowd with equal force. And those leaders that are in the crowd of 100, maybe 10, those are the ones you make the example of. The 100 go back. Nobody dies. Everybody gets into the stadium safely. You guys watch the game, 90,000 fans. Bonkaba, Jabula, who won the Soweto Derby? Yay. But what goes on behind the scenes is there was a plan and there was a structure to achieving that goal. Now, those bouncers that we had over 500, 600 of them. 90% of them lived in Hillbrow, in the CBD. Okay? These are guys that have got the size, the strength, the age is on their side, and the willingness. These are brave guys, dog. These are hard Zulus, my man. These are not lighties. Okay? No one is thinking to say, Nah, Bapela Bantu, they've got security experience at the very least. Let's train them. Let's upskill them. Let's put resources into giving these guys the tools that they need so that they can support your SAPs and you understand? When
The guys are there, they're just not in the system.
No, they're not in the system. But Bakona, I would take those guys. I would train those guys. Obviously, it'll cost money. Like I'm saying with the Pope example. Those guys took police that were there and people from security and people from army, and they gave them the training that they needed so that they would become a force of 3,000. That took on an army of over 20,000. The favelas is not a joke. You know, you're talking tens of thousands of criminals in there against 3,000. You know, this is like Leonidas and the 300. You know what I mean? You take these guys and bit by bit, that's where your skills development comes in. Because what are those guys doing? Like we were speaking earlier, they don't have a choice. Being a bouncer is all they can be. They're earning 500 Rand a night to stand at the door of some shebeen to make sure that when Penuel gets drunk and starts grabbing girls' bums, they can clap him and throw him out. Take that guy, train that guy, use that guy. He's going to earn more money and make a success of himself. He's prepared to do the job because, as I say, these people are brave. They're not cowards, right? And you are going to get a solution to a problem that we all know exists. If you just take those guys and put them in the CBD alone, you can't walk in the CBD, boss. You cannot walk on Bree Street. I used to go to Bree Street, Small Street all the time. I used to go buy tackies and clothes there for myself, for my kids, because you find the best stuff there. Go to Small Street now, they'll finish you. You won't even make it one block. 6 people jump on you with knives. They pull everything out of your pockets, bak kutuza, bak shangi, klap, bak shia ganjalo, no shoes. And everybody just walks past. Put 10 of those guys there and see who's going to jump and do that.
We went on a tangent. I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah, I'm saying.
You brought us to Joburg.
Okay.
You took us to Opa Cisco, and then it went south when you said you're no longer colored. Which means you have to come back.
Right. Where am I coming back to?
But no, you need to come back. But
to finish my point, I'm saying, Bakon. Don't tell me that the people aren't there, and don't tell me that the people have no choice. There are solutions to these problems, but the people responsible for making the decision to provide the solution are fucking idiots. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Let's go to Fred. You spoke about your father, your mom.
My mom. Oh, my mom grew up with my mom and
your dad was colored, you said?
He was, yes.
Okay.
My mom is also colored.
Okay.
Yeah, but not a real one.
How? What's not a real one?
I was just joking, man. I always just pull people's leg. I always say on Twitter, I'm not a colored. People go like, what are you then? It's like an interesting question, isn't it? I don't know. I just feel like when people say this person is a colored, it comes with all these connotations that we've discussed here.
Yeah.
To say it gets all that negative spin.
Are you what
is a colored?
Are you from a colored neighborhood in Fred?
No, I'm not. I'm from... Well, the towns, in small towns, we say drop in.
Sure.
You know, you're in the suburb of town.
How did you pick up his Zulu?
Ukoko wam Zulu. My great-grand was a Zulu woman.
In Fred?
Must be, yeah.
Where in Fred?
Kwapanya. Best Spraits. It's a farm. It's land that my family owns.
And you used to visit your grand and you guys would speak Zulu?
I grew up there on that farm. Like from small.
Okay.
Before we moved to Etropen.
Okay.
And we would speak Zulu. In fact, Masbia couldn't speak a word of English.
Okay.
But her husband was an Italian man who moved to Fred and opened a bakery and bought this plot of land.
Okay.
Mr. Balladoni. What was his name? John Baptiste.
Sure.
So he had his black wife there who worked at the bakery.
Sure.
Right? He had children from her. They lived together, La Peplazini. And then, you know, the apartheid laws and stuff, when they came in, he couldn't sort of have this black wife, but he made sure through attorneys and trusts and stuff that she would keep the land and it would go to his descendants.
That's dope.
He kind of, it's almost like he knew apartheid would end one day.
That's dope.
He was like, well, that's fine. This will be held in trust until you niggas get tired of the shit that you're doing, and then it can go to my descendants type of thing.
This is on your mother's side?
This is on my mother's
Italian
side.
grandfather, Black Zulu.
Great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather.
Yeah,
Black Zulu great-grandmother.
Yeah.
And your father's side, do you know the heritage?
No.
Okay.
No idea.
Ubufunda api Fred?
Bengifunde Nadini Convent in primary
Nadini?
School. Yeah, convent school with nuns from Germany.
Roman Catholic school?
Roman Catholic, yeah. Next to a church. Church twice, 3 times a week. Nuns used to teach us.
Sure.
Getting caned by a nun. Lessons given by nuns.
Yeah.
German nuns.
This is throughout school?
This is primary school.
Primary?
Till grade 7, yeah.
Okay, and then high school?
High school, I went to Vryheid High School.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you matriculate?
I matriculated 2004.
Really?
I think, yeah.
Fuck sakes. I matriculated 2003.
3? Yeah, Lapo. Yeah, when I came to UJ. 2003.
Frey used to beat us, I think, in rugby.
Where did you matriculate?
I was at Newcastle High.
Oh yeah. No, we were solid in rugby, bro.
Quite
Remember
solid.
that Craven Week and all that stuff? Yeah. Hey, those
But,
Burna hours, they were hard.
but,
They used to come to school barefoot, dog.
Pioneer was stronger than you guys.
No, we used to smash Pioneer.
Ayikho leyo nto.
No, Pioneer
I was there, Baba. Pioneer used to beat
I
everyone.
was also there. Pioneer was good.
They used to
But,
beat everyone.
Yeah, well, Pioneer was like our arch enemy. Let's put it that way. Because remember, Vryheid High School was half English, half Afrikaans.
Sure.
So the half Afrikaans side hated Pioneer. I didn't really have an issue with those niggas. I had friends in Pioneer.
It's crazy that you say you went
And
to
there was a lot of
Vryheid.
black people in Pioneer that spoke fluent Afrikaans. You know, a town like Vryheid, everybody speaks Afrikaans.
Sure, because it's
We all
serious farming town.
heavy, but we all conform to the norm of Vryheid.
Yeah.
So I remember I went there like some years ago, and I was looking for some farm or going somewhere, and I was lost on one of these dirt roads, and then I saw like, you know, two black men walking. You know, they looked like wearing overall pants or whatever. So I stopped. I'm like, Ninja and Matot, and then they're like, 100 million, like on some bastard, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was with my girlfriend at the time, who happens to be white. So they were on that side of the car.
Sure.
So when I opened the window to talk to them, I think they saw
white
first.
people.
They saw a white person
Yeah.
here, and then they were like, "Middag mevrouw," you know, taking their hats off, and I was like, "What the fuck, guys? I'm just trying to get some directions." You know?
Yeah.
But then I remembered, say Vryheid.
Sure.
You know.
I'm trying to think that maybe I actually remember you from Vryheid. There was an amazing gent who played rugby at Vryheid and also was in the choir because he was one of my role models in school. His name was Mina Masondo.
Mina Masondo. Yes,
Yeah.
I know Mina, yeah. He
Yeah.
was like a year ahead of me also.
So
Mina Masondo.
because I was in the NKZN youth choir.
Okay.
Yeah, so I used to sing
Mina
with a lot
had an
of
amazing
KZN
voice. Yeah,
amazing
you're right.
voice. Yeah.
Jeez, Penuel, where do you come from, my man?
Oi.
Where did he come from?
We've been around the block in the
God,
school days.
like say you've been stalking me since school. This nigga.
No,
I didn't
I
know
was
you from
talking-
Newcastle.
I was talking proper people that were serious about life.
Was I not serious about life? I was even a prefect, man. I was the head boy. No, I'm joking. I didn't even make it. I was naughty. They were like, Fusai. I didn't know you from Newcastle.
From
even.
Newcastle, bro. Went to Newcastle High. I was head boy of sports at Newcastle High. I played first team rugby. I was in the choir. I was one of those perfect top 10 academics. What?
I can tell you a top 10 academics.
Mangifike Friday, ingane would go crazy.
Bona.
What? So yabona.
Fana. You.
Sasifika sondleli ingane.
I
But
was
that's a conversation for another day.
Hey, you've really come. Yeah, because you know what I always say to people is I say, yo, man, you see us here in Joburg, but maungabona lapho siphuma khona, guys.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a different story.
There's a very good friend of mine. He's from Madadeni.
Sure.
And he's a super senior, like in the corporate space. Like if people knew what this guy handles on a daily basis, they'd be like, yo,
Yeah.
this guy's from Madadeni, bruh. Like dirt poor, you know, grew up in a shack, came here with a dream, you know?
That's dope.
And today to be who he is. And he's like our age, you know? And me and him always talk about that, you know, because
I was
knew
born
him
in
from like
Madadeni, by the
small
way.
days. Yeah.
I was
so
born
I
in
know
Madadeni.
exactly where he's from. Yaz in Luyabo, he used to live with his grand,
Yeah.
you know. And I always say to him, I'm like, hey, bruh, if people knew where this guy comes from,
Yeah.
you know, and I always think that mina ngphuma kwaPanya. You know, if people knew where kwaPanya is.
Yeah.
Nomalanga and I also have a similar conversation because she's from Popoi, which
Yeah.
is in Port Shepstone. Also, it's like Panya.
Yeah.
If people knew that Nomalanga, well, they know, but I mean, if you could see Popoi and now this person is like on BET hosting red carpets, it's like, my nigga, we come from far. You know Madadeni. When last were you there?
Maybe last year. My father's from Ematadeni. He passed away 2020, but I was born in Ematadeni.
Yeah.
Ematadeni Hospital. I lived there till I was 5.
And then
we moved to Etropin.
Okay, it dropped
To town, yeah.
Pen. Hey, fit.
Warras, thanks, bro.
Um
We've got
shokile,
a lot to talk about. I was hoping at some point we'll touch on politics, the state of this country, what you're busy with in terms of business, some of your thoughts around, without getting both of us in trouble, some of the mining stories around Mpumalanga in particular.
That one we must talk about next time.
And family, you know, having a white partner, having your kids, what that dynamic is like.
Well, I have 2 white ones and 1 colored one.
Okay.
So the white baby mama, very different dynamic because they're Afrikaans.
Okay.
So the kids have got like a sort of like an Afrikaans side of the family.
Sure.
My eldest son speaks of, well, when he was small, he only spoke Afrikaans.
Yeah.
And because no mama, you know, I didn't really get the opportunity to teach him Zulu.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm worried that the generation that follows me will lose, you know.
What do you mean by lose? You identify as Zulu?
Me hardcore, my man. Because that's, I would say that culturally and the way Nkulenga Kona, that is what I identify with the most.
As Zulu.
As Zulu. You know, and when I go home to Vryheid as well, on a daily basis with Tabantan Klangana Nabo, everybody knows. Even black people, when they see me, they speak to me in Zulu. When I speak to them in Zulu. Even if you are Tswana or Sotho or whatever, me, I speak Zulu.
Yeah, it's because you Zulus are arrogant, man.
We are. But I also feel like I don't identify, like I was saying to you, like with this colored thing, you know. But my kids, it's obviously because I'm not married to their mothers. It's difficult when the child is not in the home to try and instill in them a language, for example, because now they learned Afrikaans more because they were with their mother and their her mother, and she only spoke to them in Afrikaans.
Which was almost your story.
You understand what I'm saying? And now they've lost it. Now they only speak English, and it's like, yo, man, you niggas need to learn. But it's difficult because you learn it from growing up speaking. You know, people always say
you need it in the space you're in. You don't even have to think about it.
Yes. Now you don't
say,
how did you learn Zulu? I'm like, I have no idea.
Because here they don't need it.
They don't need it. You understand? And then you lose it. So all my family members, we all grew up speaking Zulu, but they've kind of gone in I don't know, let's say they identify as colored.
Sure.
They don't speak Zulu anymore. You lose the ability to speak a language that lets
if you don't practice it,
And I feel like we need to, you know, it's nice to look like me and speak Zulu. You know what I mean? You can make a lot of jokes. You can hear a lot of conversations. Never ever get into shit with police. Ever. I can drive with fucking no license disc and no number plate.
Jeez.
And the police will be like, 1, 2, and then I just say, and I'm out, you know. There's a lot of benefits to being Warras in these streets, you know. Look at my career in radio and TV. I would have never got it. I got on Y by virtue of the fact that I could speak Zulu. That's what they were looking for.
A colored looking
speaking. Yes, it's 60% Zulu, 40% English. The audience, when they call in again, the audience that you're speaking to is Zulu speaking.
Yeah.
You can't come on there and speak some fucking bullshit Zulu either. People actually used to get offended. You know, you've got to try and keep it as crisp and clean as possible. Our news bulletins were in Zulu, you know. So when I got onto TV on Live Amp, it was myself and Loot. Loot was closer. Remember also SABC 1, you need to speak.
They love vernac on SABC 1.
You must speak vernac because the audience, you understand, 70%, 80% of the people watching the show are speaking either Xhosa or Zulu.
Yeah.
So Loot and I would mix it up. Obviously some English. Then Pearl came. Pearl is like a super Zulu girl, bro. Yeah. That's like that Pira Zulu, you know that one, like farm Zulu. So you again, it's like, would I be Warras if I couldn't speak Zulu? You understand?
Yeah.
So what would you choose? I must be out here saying, because another thing colored people do, I don't know if you saw on Twitter when I engaged in that chat, somebody tweeted and said that colored people don't want to identify as African. African as in black African.
Most don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
Why? What do they want to be? They want to be colored.
Yes.
What the fuck? What is that? Why do you? Because Trevor Noah, as an example, that man lived here, he was a colored. He left here, he's a black now. He didn't get to America and say, he colored me. You understand?
But he, like you, grew up in a black neighborhood. So you guys become unique versus coloreds that grew up in colored neighborhoods.
When he was on the SARS advert, and when he was on YFM, people thought he was a colored.
Sure.
And I don't think he cared, personally. I don't think he was like, no, I'm not a colored, stop the press. I don't even remember, it was a long time ago. But my point is, he went there and he is black. Trevor is black. He identifies as black. The audience that watches him on TV, says he's black. Because in America, you are either black or you are white or you are Hispanic.
Latino. Yeah.
You understand? So let me be Hispanic. Voila. Rather. You understand? Because I don't see colored as, I don't know, like, I get that it's a race, but it's like a made-up race from here. You know, during apartheid, that's how people were labeled if they were mixed race or if they came from colored and colored. Yeah. You know, like it was almost like a separate division of or was a separate race altogether. And I don't understand what did they make it for, because by and large, black people and colored people, you couldn't enter spaces where there was white people.
Yeah.
You know, black people couldn't enter, but colored people also couldn't enter. But then people want, like, everybody wants to have a different degree of how much they are offended or how much they were oppressed. And it's like, hey guys, we're all in the same boat here.
Oppression
Go
Olympics.
to fucking Cape Flats, it's a shithole. You go to Alex, Deep Slots, it's a shithole. You're not living in shitholes. Just because you are in Cape Flats, it doesn't make you better than umuntu ophila ekhaya litsha. All of you need a fucking solution.
Sure.
You understand? This thing of now wanting to cling on to that identity to say, we are colored here, hulle kan ons nie help nie. The ANC only kyk hulle for black people. Boss,
And
where are you living?
colored speak Afrikaans is the other thing.
And it's like, but where are you living? The DA always claims the Western Cape is the best run province. Bruh, let me tell you something. Most of the shit that political parties put out, they put it out for people at a level of thinking from here down. Unfortunately, they're the vast majority, so the shit works. Then there's us. We are not fools. From here up. Where the fuck is it well run? It's well run in places that run themselves. I live in an area here in Johannesburg. I'm maybe 4 kilometers from Cyril Ramaphosa's house. You understand? Load shedding is easy there by me. Around the corner from me is Julius Malema's house. Down the road from me is other big politicians. You understand? That's where I live. Man, all of the shit people complain about there in city of Joburg is not running like this, not running like that. They sort it out. We are taught. It's sorted. Our area runs smoothly. I don't see most of the issues that people see out there in the township.
Because the people there are well off.
Thank you.
And the Cape Town
Most
is like
of
that.
Cape Town is like that. They are running areas where the people are well off, and if there's a problem, they sort that shit out themselves. There's clusters in Cape Town where you go. There's private security to this degree. You can't fuck around there. They don't need the police. They don't need the city. They've got solar power. They've got fucking boreholes. You know, they are kind of independent of whatever the city provides. So when they say it's well run, how? What are you doing to make it well run? Go to the areas that need the intervention of government, that need the intervention of the political party responsible for maintenance and service delivery. Fact! Fact! When I used to DJ in Cape Town, used to be colored. Once I was colored. See, there's a derivative of girl in Cape Town. There's other spec there called a Cape Malay. My baby mama is one. My son is gorgeous. In any case, those ones are fire.
Look,
so
no, let me not comment. I was in Puza Manzi.
Yeah, Puza.
Yay!
You'd catch those ones at clubbing, you understand? Like a lot of the venues. And these girls were beautiful, pretty girls. And then obviously after the club, or whatever, there used to be a place there that we used to go and eat that was 24 hours. I think it's called Golden Dish. This is like 2010 or so. You could go there and you could chow at Golden Dish at like 3 in the morning with these chicks and these people that you met. You understand? Seedless song, whatever, that big roll with chips and stuff. Spike course, go there with chow, haha, gubnandi, whatever, you leave. You cannot go to that fucking neighborhood now, my man. Me, I wouldn't risk it. You can't go there. It's like a no-go zone, bro. You understand? It is completely lawless. How many people are shot a week in those areas? It's like something out of a dystopian nightmare. What the fuck are those clowns doing about that? Nothing. They're rather complaining, saying, stop supporting Russia, support Ukraine. Fuck Ukraine. What the fuck support Ukraine for what? What's going on there at Cape Flats? Focus on that. This one wants to stop wars in Europe. There's a fucking war there by your section, my man. Sort out the war that's happening there in Cape Town, in the fucking province that you run. And what do people do? They jump on the statements about Ukraine. All of the media. Alan, what is his name that time? Alan Windy. Alan Windy says if Putin lands here, he's going to arrest him. My man, who are you talking about here? This is not John Steenhuisen. This is fucking Vladimir Putin. That nigga will bomb your house. You talking about you're going to arrest Putin. It's like wind that they're blowing into our sails, right?
Oh, Ellen Windy. Blowing wind.
You check. It distracts from the serious conversation that we need to be having, which is, 50 people are being shot a week in the Cape Flats, including children. What the fuck is going on? Bullets are expensive, boss, and guns as well. You understand? You can't just shoot pa. It's like 6 rand a bullet, the cheapest price you'll pay for a reload. Where are they getting bullets? where they're getting guns. It's the same in places like Wentworth, in Durban. It's the same in places here in Joburg, like certain parts of Westbury. Jesus Christ. Can't even go buy a fucking schoolboy sandwich in Westbury.
Hey,
you
schoolboy.
fucking get shot, my man. You come in there with a white car, they shoot you.
Shout out to Schoolboy. I know exactly what you're talking about. I support, it used to be called Al Imran. It's called Cariden now. They're on the main street there by Westbury. Because Westbury is my kasi there. So Firetown. And then going into Montgomery
Park. Do you still
Park.
go in?
No, I'm Thug Life. There's no place I can't go into.
Like from what it was to what it is. And it's got nothing to do with...
I don't know what it was like, but I know places are violent. And there was a time recently where I wasn't visiting Westbury because there were mass shootings. So there's times when it peaks, and then even the people that I know
someone will die or whatever.
Even the people there will tell you, don't come through for now. And then once it comes down, then you vibe there, what. It's quite sad. And apparently the situations are so deep, because I've said at some point, can we not come in and speak? It's like, hey, Baba, who do you think you are? And who do you think you're coming? You think this is some movie? You want to come through, because you don't know how deep these stories run and where these things start. And then you want to come in kumbaya. If the big politicians and the big police are struggling, who do you think you are?
Who are you, man?
But this is where for some of us, for me at least, I'm like, we need the options. We need the job opportunities, sports opportunities, entertainment opportunities, etc., so that some of the kids there can't save everyone. But some of them at least can get out.
Yeah. How are we going to get those solutions when the people responsible for making the decision have clearly shown their ineptitude in more ways than one?
And they also collude with some of these guys. They get paid by some of these guys.
Yeah, they get paid and they are inept.
Sure.
The other thing is there's budget sitting there, my man. We give hundreds of billions in SASSA grants. You give someone enough to survive on.
Yeah.
Never enough to thrive on. You put that budget into something that's going to improve their lives, you'll see a vast change. But they're not trying to do that.
No, they're not trying to do that. Exactly. You can't empower the masses when the few that you've empowered don't want to vote for you anymore, and you lose your power. Sorry.
Hey, stop that, man.
Geez, sorry. No, something fell there. I think it's a mobile charger. All right, I hope it's chilled.
It's a what?
It's a mobile charger.
You know, they say you mustn't bring your kids to work.
I hope it's fine.
Who, this one? But it's because he's never said this.
But it's boring sitting here listening to Amatimer. Because
Are you listening to us?
Listening to Amatimer chatting about, Opa, Cisco, yo.
Aish, man.
And your light is like, what is happening here? No, let's shut it down. When are you joining politics?
I am never joining politics, my brother.
Then who's going to lead? If you and I are not going to get in and get involved, who is meant to do the right thing?
Who is meant to do the right thing? What do you mean? Like in terms of...
So I was saying they don't want to empower because the few of us they've empowered hate them now because we think we're self-made. Yeah. Oh, the ANC is so bad. You're like, oh, okay. Some model C school nyana. Nice job nyana. Some NS fast. Now you think you're better than us. Let's actually keep the rest of them dependent on us. Because when we lift them up, they now want to vote for other people and they want to call us names. But now it's a complicated conversation. But if you and I are not going to get into politics or leadership or whatever, who is supposed to do it? Excellent. Let's shut it down.
Yeah, let's shut it. No,
please come through again.
That chat next time. But
and please,
I don't know.
Please cut down on the vaping and look after your health.
I will, my friend. I've actually just jumped off the cigarettes onto the vaping. Yeah.
So at least it's a process and you're progressing.
Yes, but
we must speak about kids, bro. Please, let's speak about kids, family, and let's speak about how we get involved in being the change.
No, 100%. Invite me back. I've had fun. Thank you, Penuel.
Thanks a lot, Warras.
Sharp, my brother.
2 p.m. How long did we go for? This guy chats, bro. Does he chat like this at home?
All the time.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm really sorry.
Nah, I love it.
Yeah, you have to say it in front of him, but jeez. Hey, this guy chats, Caesar. Oh, you try to get in, you try to... Warras, thanks a lot, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Where are you going from here?
Before I forget, the move.